This is March 31st, 2023, an open meeting and a public hearing for the Berlin Historical Commission. We're all present. We'll take attendance. Janet?
Here.
Janet Woodward. Barry?
Barry Yeager.
And Eleanor?
Here.
And Lucy?
Lucy Ayers.
Lucy Ayers. And in attendance is Jared Byrne.
Here.
And
And
myself.
June Miller.
Yes, and,
Yes.
yes, and myself, June
Okay.
Miller, yeah.
Jerry, how do you spell your name?
Our first name is Gerard.
That's right, Gerard. And
Beirne. Byrne. The
Thank
E
you.
is silent.
yeah,
But all is silent.
thanks.
But the accent is
FBI.
not New England.
No, FBI.
Oh, dear. Yeah.
Okay, we are met to hold a public hearing, and we hereby open a public hearing in regard to a request for demolition of the old house at 136 Central Street here in Berlin. And the owner, one of the owners is here present. And we're on Friday, January 20th, the commission met here and discussed their thoughts regarding this property. We had had a site visit the previous day, which 4 of us attended. Lucy had not yet been appointed to the commission at that time. And some documentation of the old house was presented at that time, and it was noted that the building was likely built in the period of 1799 to 1805. And though it's very simple in plan and inside finish, it is likely less changed over its life than most local buildings of its period. By vote of 4-0, the commission declared the building is historically significant under Article 14, Section 3 of the town bylaws. And it was voted to hold a public hearing in regard to it. If a commission finds a building significant, as we did in that case, we then hold a public hearing to determine further whether the demolition of the building will be detrimental to the historical, cultural, or architectural heritage of the town. So that's why we're here now. We're in a position where we can talk about history if we need to, and if we had a broad public attendance, we would spend some time doing that. Under the circumstances, I don't know that we need to. Jerry, would you like to comment on the condition of the building in terms of
Well,
going
sure.
forward with it?
I would say the condition of the house, if it was, it's not repairable. Not that I ever bought the house to repair it.
Yeah.
I bought the house because of its proximity to the orchard.
Yeah.
And it abuts the orchard at the back. And there was an interesting story as to how it happened to buy it. I met the former selectman that lives in Florida.
David Marwell.
Yes. And he said, hey, you should buy that house. At the post office one day, I was working.
He was handling his sister's estate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said, why? I said, I have a house. One mortgage is enough. You know? And had a lot of little fellas at the time. And he said, hey, I'm just telling you. And the price was, at the time, was $220. And they brought it down to $200. And I thought about it for a while, and I never went in the house. I had been in the house when Bert and Eva were alive. And we'd go to see them irregularly. And Bert would stop in at the farm store too, and he would, stop for a chat here and there. So I started to think about it, that it would be nice for me to just fill up my sprayer there, break a hole in the wall, and I could just drive right up into the orchard. And I could park my landscape equipment there too. But they were still looking for a lot of money for it, $200,000. And they had come down from 220, and I thought about it, and I talked to my wife about it, and I went down and I saw the real estate agent, and I said, I'll give you $160 for it. And I had a $100 bill in my pocket, and I said, here's a deposit. And he chuckled, and he said, okay. And they got back to me about 3 weeks later, and they say they have declined your offer. I'm like, thank you, that's great. And we moved on, and another day I stumbled across somebody, and he said, you need to make another offer on that house. I said, well, you know, they didn't accept the first one. I'm not going to make a bigger one. And he says, well, you know, you might want to. And then I heard through the grapevine again that it had got hit by lightning. And there was somebody renting in it, living at the time. If he was renting or not, I'm not sure. And they maybe got some insurance money. Nobody told me that they did. And I'm like, oh. So I made them another offer for $135,000. And they took it kicking and screaming. David Marble was the last one kicking and screaming about it. Mm-hmm. And I thought to myself, it's ironic, it was his idea in the beginning. So I never thought we would fix up the house, number one. It would never cross my mind. And number two, I never thought that we would actually build a house on that lot. So the house, number one, it's too close to the street, even if it was going to be repaired. It's got the stone foundation, which would be, you know, it's too close to the street. It's got the stone foundation. It's got horse hair. I have not had an asbestos survey done on it yet. So I don't know what's in it for asbestos. The building inspector said there's probably no asbestos in the horse hair or in the walls or the plaster. But by the time, and then the chimneys are compromised. They look like one of them above the roof it's got a little lean to it. So I actually do enjoy using it as my workshop with all my tools in it. And one of my boys said, there'll never be a workshop nicer or better than this one. He didn't say nicer, he said better. Because the kids actually like running through the house and, you know, going up into the attic and down into the basement. So, I mean, you know, it's a bit of an eyesore. Yes, I've got a lot of my stuff around there. I need to tidy it up. Now that I'm living in town, you know, hopefully that'll be easier. I have to look out the window at it and see what I didn't do for the day. But overall, the house we have, it's been great for us, but I never bought it to live in it.
Well, if anybody wanted to try to fix it to live in, they'd have to do all of the electrical over.
Oh, yeah.
Because the lightning damage issues would be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things that's a big piece of issue about trying to preserve it and continue it in use. At any rate, one of the reasons that we hold a hearing like this is to see what the public thinks. The commission has already said this is a historic building.
Sure.
But the question is, how does the public feel about it? And if the public doesn't show up, then the public isn't all upset.
Yeah.
So therefore, it would appear that we don't have any public outcry about a demolition. Are there any questions or comments from any members of the commission about the whole matter?
Barry, the one question I think that we were talking about in the meeting after we did the visit was there anything that you think would be good to salvage for historical purposes for the collection?
Yeah, I mean, possibly that, you know, we could pull something. We could ask to pull something.
I mean, we do have photographs.
Yeah, we do. We took some
have
photos.
more,
June has some photos. I've got some photos.
which may be just as valuable as any.
And
piece
I would be hopeful that we could, perhaps when you kind of get it cleaned out of your stuff, we might go in and take some more photos.
Yeah.
Because we could see some
right now you can't
details.
see too much in a lot of places.
Yes, yeah. So my initial plan was I thought that maybe this year I'd like to build a barn, but to build a barn I have all of that stuff at the back and I got to take that out of the way where the barn is going to go. And I'm like, okay, we're already into March. I'm like, maybe I can wait until next year. But yes, everything has to come out of the house. Mm-hmm. And it has to go someplace. Maybe a lot of it's going to go in the dumpster. When I empty the house, you're more than welcome to come through and walk through it again. And if you see something, you can absolutely have it. If there's a mantle or a little frame over the fireplace or something like that, whatever you want. If you see something, then you're absolutely more than welcome to have it.
So I have a question. Is there anything that you want to salvage out of that?
No,
Okay.
only my tools.
He's
Yeah.
got his house.
I know,
His
I
He's
know.
got his new
Yeah.
house.
You never know. You never
No,
know.
it's true. No, even when we moved into it, we just moved the tools right in, and there was a furnace downstairs that was not that old, and I thought, well, maybe I'll find somebody that wants it, but I never found anybody that wanted it, and of course, I never thought to take it out of there and try and sell it on Craigslist or one of those want ads way back then, but. So that's probably the only thing of any value that has depreciated over time. That's probably of less value now. But no, there is nothing in the house that I want.
Yeah.
No.
So that takes care of that. Is there any other public comment? And if not, we will.
What, can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
What else could we do, since you're leaving this open for us to be able to take pictures and preserve anything that might be of value? Is that something that people want to make suggestions about? And we do that now, or can we just do that as we go along?
We
How
can
does
do that
work?
as we go along.
Okay.
I think we can do
Because
that.
I think
Clearly, it's
that you
not
could-
going to happen in the next
It's not
month
going to
or
happen
so.
tomorrow or next week.
No,
No,
and
right.
and also just collecting stories from people who have lived in it, who are still around. I mean, those are the kinds of things that keep a house alive,
Oh, yeah.
even when it's
Oh, yeah.
gone, which would be kind of
Sure.
nice for you guys too.
Yeah,
You
you know, I keep meaning to call Mr. Marble or text him and tell him, show him the pictures of what happened to Burton Nevy's place.
Yeah.
You know, with all the trees gone and the house up down.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, from the get-go, it was just a place
Yeah.
to put my equipment. That's all it ever was.
And you know, the other thing, speaking as a farmer probably as much as anything, is I like the idea that even though the house is going to be going, it's going to allow you to keep land and open spaces much better.
Absolutely.
And
I
so,
hope so, yeah.
and keep land and farming and things that, you know, are disappearing so fast. So, I mean, there's a sad side, but there's also a flip side. you know.
It's actually, there's for us, the Burns, it is it's hugely positive for us to be in town. Because even though we lived in Stowe and we lived with my mother-in-law, she sold us the house and we had an addition put on for her. I was never going to leave that house while she was alive. That was her home. And so, pardon me, so she died 2 years ago past December. And that enabled us to come to Berlin. Now, I approached Mr. Forrester, pardon me, to see if he'd be interested in selling his house, because that's just over there on Walnut Street with the pond, looking up at the orchard.
Oh, Andy.
Andy, yeah. And Andy said no, that his son had bought the house next door, which I actually looked at before he bought it, but I didn't like the situation of the house that his son bought on the same site. I forget who owned it. He moved to, it was a small little cape, or a small little house that got torn down maybe about 20 years ago, 25 years ago. And they built that house that kind of looks over at Phipps's.
Oh,
Yeah, and the back of it looks over at Andy's house. And I didn't like that house. And then, of course, I spoke to Mrs. Phipps, and
well,
for 5 minutes she was thinking of selling it, and then John said, well, he wanted to move back. So we wanted to be as close to the farm or on the farm. And this is actually...
and this worked out.
This has worked out fabulously, and my kids love it, just living on the farm. You know, so...
I think we can declare the public hearing closed,
Okay,
and then continuing on with our meeting, we then have to, or we can, if we are ready to, take a vote. We have already determined that it is of historical significance. The question now is whether whether demolition will be detrimental to the historical, cultural, agricultural heritage of the town, and as would be the case in terms of public opinion, popular views of things. And the absence of the general public tonight would indicate that doesn't seem to be the case, so.
Well, I think for agricultural purposes, it's probably in a better shape than it is as a single house, because now it's part of a bigger farm area.
Yeah. Yeah, where, I mean, pardon me, I mean, going forward, you know, we have a lot of acreage out the back that's completely separate to the house lot that, you know, we can plant more varieties of peaches up there and we can grow the business. We can grow the business now because we're living on the farm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when it was a little difficult, not that we were living that far away, you know, but you had to pack up all the troops and get them in the van and get them over, you know. And
How many now do you have living in the house?
so there's 2 boys in college, so there's 10 kids in the house with my wife and I.
That's a tribe.
So, but oh yeah, we're fierce excited about, you know, being on the farm and just growing the farm and making it work, and you know, just being part of town, being part of the town.
At this point, we need a motion in the commission to either determine it is detrimental to the historical, cultural, architectural heritage of the town, or it is not detrimental to the historical, cultural, architectural heritage. Is there a motion?
Yes, I move that the demolition of the older building on 136 Central Street is not detrimental to the cultural and historical heritage of the town of Berlin.
Second.
Is there any discussion in regard to that?
Just for
motion?
me, I just want to ask you, June, just so I get the wording as you put it, because it went fast.
Yeah, I guess the important thing is not detrimental.
Okay. I'll
Not
keep that right
detrimental to
there.
the historical, cultural,
Okay.
architectural heritage of the town.
Thanks.
So,
If not, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor of the motion?
I,
All right,
Aye.
that's a unanimous vote. All have voted in favor. Is there any other business?
not about 136 Central
Yeah.
Street. I think we're good with that. And Jerry, you let us know when it's,
As things are proceeding.
Yeah.
It's cleaned out.
Absolutely.
you let us
Yeah.
know about the time, a
And
good,
if it's 3 months from now, if it's a year from now, whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
whenever your building is mostly empty, then we can,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you all for your time towards this.
Well, we like to,
We will be notifying
stuff.
the building inspector that he can go ahead and issue your demolition permit.
Sure. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
yeah,
fine.
we're good.
You're welcome to stay if you,
Yeah, if you're-
but you're not required to.
Have you got one of these? This is last year's town report.
I have, yeah.
You've got one?
I have got one.
Good reading for your 17-year-old before Boys State.
Okay, you know something? I'll take it. I'll take another one.
Of course,
Yeah.
there'll be a new one out before long.
Yeah,
Before
yeah.
he goes there'll be a new one
Yeah.
out. But I
Okay.
just thought it happened to hit me. Read some of it.
Yeah.
Would be a good thing for him before he
Yeah,
goes
he
to
will.
Boys State.
Yeah, he will. Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
looking forward to having peaches for sale. at the
Yes.
Okay.
store.
Yeah.
Maybe not this year.
Next year.
I've been getting them, but it was a hard
We had that
winter.
polar vortex, so looks like all the peach buds got got
Yeah.
cooked. But
Yeah.
it remains to be seen.
What?
Remains to be seen.
Yeah, maybe,
Peaches are so
Fingers
sensitive,
crossed.
aren't they?
Yeah, they're not from New England,
Yeah.
you know. So
Yeah.
mind you, neither am I, but I don't know. Thank you all very much.
yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
bye-bye.
So the building inspector is free to give a demolition permit. That's what I'm supposed to
Yeah,
write.
yeah. I'll write him a letter based on that action that we just took, and then he can, and that clears him of any action in this thing.
Okay.
Did you have something else for the meeting or not?
I think the only thing I wanted to ask Ellie is if, you know, in the next couple of weeks, if she would, and you, actually, that would include you too, and Lucy, if she wants to, if we could move the mannequins to Village Power. Tim and Janet are going away, but it's okay, if we're
Oh.
careful, it's okay for us to access the building when they're gone. But we would need your truck, that's
Sure.
what we,
Mhm.
and,
When do you plan to do
It
that?
needs
Well,
to be,
that's up
it
to
needs to be a
Ellie,
day
yeah.
that will,
yeah, a dry day.
it's got to be good
Yeah.
and dry, and it's got to, and
Preferably
preferably not a lot of
warmer.
wind.
Yeah,
Yeah,
preferably a little warmer.
yeah, yeah,
We can just hang loose and you let us know
yeah.
when, give us, send us all a little email and give us a couple
We
of
just
days.
need an hour and a half to
And I
just
just,
do it.
I
That'd be
just
great.
need, let's see, I do need to post it because there's more than two of us.
Well, do you want to pick a day, and then if it's not good, for some reason, we could,
Yeah,
You
because we'll know
schedule?
the weather, you can usually know if the weather's going to cooperate within the,
like Tuesday? I don't know, what day is good for you?
well, Barry's got a,
Stormy Saturday. It's,
Supposed to be nice on Sunday, but cold.
but cold,
This Sunday?
yeah. It's going to be cold Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's going, but it's going to be warmer through the week, but some days may be unsettled, so.
yeah.
Wednesday.
Maybe after Easter would be
Yeah.
better.
That would actually be better. It would be. So I have a question regarding, idea that in trying to make the Bullet House more, look like it's being used and
Oh, that
more-
something's happening.
just maybe taking one of those pots and putting some flowers out. And, I know that if we get something like marigolds, well, maybe marigolds not good for
Pansies.
April, pansies or something like that. And who knows if they had them, but because it's an adaptive, like it's got quite the history. I thought maybe the Hawkins might have had pansies out there or daffodils.
We can ask
The
Sven.
Hawkins put those horrible rhododendrons, remember that clash with paint?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Unfortunately, they're gone now.
We got rid of the rhododendron.
So we could just get a
They're
pot and
horrible.
put it out there. You don't like rhododendron?
Well, I like rhododendrons, but they were
Not there.
those. They were very large, and they were those kind of purpley red flowers against the barn red house.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was just
No, that.
Oh.
Yes, you're right.
I see.
So if we get some pansies, we could do that.
We do have the same problem with the crabapple tree that's out there.
I was going to
So
say, it's the
a
same
kind of a pinky,
contrast.
and against
Yeah.
that barn red.
It's
The
pretty.
colors really clash.
Yeah, I think it's nice anytime we can think of something to put out there that makes it look like a little change.
Somebody's
Something's
going
going on there.
on.
What's more
We've often
historic
had
is
some
it
flowers
would
out
be
there,
something
and,
like
annuals and
lilacs,
stuff.
right?
And,
Say that again?
if you
Something more historically
Well,
appropriate would be
get
something
one of
like
those-
a
Eventually,
lilac.
I'm sure
a
that's
small
the
tub or
direction.
something
We
to
have
put it in,
lilac, we
and
have a
just
lilac in the
put them,
back.
put
Yeah.
'em on the step out
We're
front or
not
something.
talking
Fine.
about planting anything because there's still a lot of stuff to go on.
Well,
to
yeah.
be done. But
The
just that
foundation work.
pot that's there, that vase, and just put something out there and show something for
Life.
spring. Like,
Life.
Well, the other interesting thing about the Bullard House, the whole project and everything, is that contemporary is all part of the Bullard House history.
I know.
So when we
Oh, yeah.
say it's
1950s.
it's the history, it's like what we're doing tonight is we're creating the next bit of history.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about that really you could put almost anything out there. and it would
The
be
1960s is
correct.
part of its history, yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's unusual to have a museum that could conceivably cover
Almost any
thousands
period,
of
yeah.
years,
But
last
you don't
200 years.
want foundation planting
No.
kind of stuff.
Not yet.
That just-
Definitely not.
Well, anyway,
always wrong.
that's just wrong for the kind of thing.
And
But summer flowers, seasonal flowers, all that stuff's fine.
And
Great.
Lucy is already doing historical gardening.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I'm sure a lot of it will
Oh,
be
yeah.
from a certain period and, a little blurb telling
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
But it is kind of
So,
nice to know that.
so one day when I was standing outside of the town hall, just looking across to the Bullet House, and I was looking at all the different roofs, all the different roof lines, and I was thinking, I always look at the house from the front, and it always looks like a very old house. But what if we took it from the back and talked about the different roofs and the errors when they might have been put in, and make a blog out of that? And also,
We did that for History Matters. We went around the perimeter and talked about the different eras of construction, but you certainly could make a blog.
the blog
Yeah,
would actually
yeah.
send it out to more people.
Yeah.
And that would be good if you still have some of that information. That would be really
It's
good.
right in the, it's in
It's in the
It's
Dropbox, tell me.
It's
Well, it's in the preservation
in
plan,
the
but it
National
also
Register
is in...
document.
Okay.
I've got a history of the house
And yeah,
someplace
that's,
that I can get you a copy of that's got all that stuff.
Are you expected to communicate that to Mary Reddington
About what?
for the building of the society website?
Yes. Yeah.
I like, one of the things I really liked about what you just were describing is, I like the idea of the photograph of the house showing
From
the
the
back.
yeah, from the back.
You know, because we don't do that very often.
No.
I mean,
We
we got
have-
those, but
we have
You
full
are
perimeter.
correct that when you walk out of the
We have a
town
full
hall, that's what you
perimeter,
see.
Yeah.
We've got the photos.
I know, we've got the photos and all, and
But
just to actually do something
It doesn't
with
look
that
very
gets
nice.
out.
It looks worse from the back than it does from the front.
Yeah.
I
But
think.
that's the whole point. It doesn't matter. You know, it's just a matter of, like, this is the house. This is the history of the house, and this is what you're trying to project, is it's had many
Yeah. Well,
different incarnations.
If you want to, I mean, we can do perimeter photos again.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Maybe
one-
when the lilac gets a little further along, I don't know. But
I
if
think
you want
you
to
could
do
do
it
it now.
if you want to do it right now, you can use the photos that are already there. They're very good.
Sometimes
They're
the
just
ones from
totally
the little
documentary,
angle.
though.
Mm-hmm.
They don't make it look nice.
Doesn't.
I
Well,
don't
we
think it's
don't have
possible
to.
to really enhance
look
it
more
right
like
now.
ours.
It just needs a little TLC, and we're not going to do that until we get the.
But very, very much you can do a blog approach to
Well, that's the whole thing.
exactly what you described in
Yeah,
terms
Because
of
you can really see it.
talking
Yes.
about how the house grew like Topsy. And that,
I think it's fascinating that it was a two-family house. And you think,
Yeah.
it's so little, how could that be? And it's like, their expectation of space
Different.
wasn't
Yeah.
the same as ours.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And I think,
definitely.
I was thinking about when Jerry said that he had never intended to ever live in Eva's house. Because when you look at it, the space is so small.
The
It's
space is so
really-
tiny.
But they didn't expect to have a lot of.
No.
They didn't own as
No.
many things either.
And an awful lot of houses like that in Berlin, if they were used over a long period of time and it's, a growing
start
family,
to grow.
they added on to it.
Mm-hmm.
They doubled it. They built another set of rooms in back and
Yeah.
raised the roof. I mean, they literally
And that's
changed
such
it
a
that much.
classic example of it. Yeah,
That's why
wonderful.
that one's so, that's the
Yeah.
piece that's so interesting about that is that it's small and it never got modified much. That's why I'd really like to do some more pictures after it's cleaned out a little, because I'd like to be able to just see a little bit better what the spaces were like in it. I think it's an interesting thing for us to have document on.
Do you think there'll be a lot of the woodwork or whatever?
No,
No.
It's very plain.
it's severely plain.
It's
Is it?
clearly, it was put together by someone who didn't have a lot of money.
Okay.
You're
So
talking
it
now
doesn't have
about
the fancy.
136,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't need to have all the fancy. I mean, it's just
Well,
another
because as
picture
Barry
of
said,
that.
it's really
But you don't
representative
Eight-
of homes that were in this town.
Yeah.
This wasn't a wealthy town,
Well, and it wasn't changed.
and it
Yeah.
wasn't changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are others that are the same age. I mean, a house like, Cora May's brick house and John Nutting's house and so forth, those houses were of the similar age, but there was more money in them.
Yeah.
And they were stylish of their period. This one is really severely plain. This one could be 50 years older because of the plainness of it. And I'd like to get what we can of it in terms of understanding what it was as a house, that's all. At any rate,
So do we have any actions that we want to
I don't think.
Follow
we
up
have
on?
any, do we?
We have a
Wanna-
meeting in 2 weeks.
let Lucy look for some flowers? And
Yeah.
There
I'd like
is
to say something about
the flowers?
the foundation thing.
Oh,
We had a proposal for the foundation previously, never a formal one, but it was in Tim Walheeder's thing. And that was to dig down on the outside of the foundation and put the concrete on the outside of the foundation instead of the inside. And
That was in the first survey.
That was in his first report. And he wanted to do it all the way around the house. Well, that makes no sense because there's not basement all the way around the house. But the part where the basement is, is of full depth. That might be a way to go, which would seal things up very well and would help to shore it up, but we wouldn't lose the ability to see the development of the building that we can see when the stone shows on the inside. If we cover it all up with concrete, we've lost that. We'll have it in pictures, but we won't have it still in place.
Do you think you can mitigate drainage in that?
Oh, well, that's why he was doing it, was to mitigate drainage.
Barry, I'm not quite following this. You're talking about putting the concrete on the outside of the building,
Yep,
but still having the
below
stone?
grade.
Oh, but the stone foundation, where we would see the foundation would be stone?
On the
You
inside.
dig to the bottom of the stone wall, bottom of the foundation on the outside. You put the concrete on the outside of the foundation, below grade, up to grade,
Up to grade.
not above grade.
Okay,
So that the outside looks the same when you're
Okay,
done.
got it.
And the inside, you can still see the stonework, as opposed to obliterating it completely with the
but
concrete.
nobody's going to, I mean, visitors won't be seeing it.
No, visitors won't be
So
seeing it.
if putting concrete on the inside would be better for drainage,
I don't think it makes any difference for drainage.
then, yeah, I was gonna say, but if it did, I would say let's not worry if we can see concrete from the inside, because it's not gonna be part of our of the display of the house, presumably. I don't know, I was just thinking, but on the other hand, if we're only talking about going up to grade, then you
Yeah,
can
I
put
think-
concrete everywhere
I think
in
we
that
need
part.
On the outside, yeah.
I think we need our engineer to tell us
think so,
that's
too.
viable.
Yeah, the other of us
Yeah.
are really
Yes,
the experts.
yes.
Yeah, I just
Oh,
wanted to
yeah.
make sure I understood
And
what you
also
were
the
proposing.
cost difference between putting it on the inside as opposed to excavating the outside. That's the other thing.
Well,
That has to be
they
factored.
both involve labor, more labor
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
than machine, and so the labor is going to be expensive in both cases.
But that was the kind of a proposal we had before us when we got the 100,000 from the town. That doesn't mean we decided to do it, but that's one of the reasons why we asked for the 100,000 for foundation.
Well,
in the
maybe
first
we need
place.
to just ask
Yeah.
our engineers.
If you would
Yeah.
write, well, all we really need to do is refer to Walhuter's suggestion.
Yeah, I'll go back and we'll go back and read that
And then I have to,
and just send it back as a query.
yeah, okay. I got it.
So I feel like I'm the dummy in the group tonight. I must be tired. So below grade, with your proposal, the inside below grade would still be the stonework, is what
Yeah.
you're saying? Got it. Okay.
Inside, you could still see the foundation that's there. But
And
it-
outside,
it-
you wouldn't see.
It would seal
anything
it
but
from the
stonework.
outside
Yeah.
instead, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But how
Got
would
it.
you, you'd still have to seal somehow, maybe not with concrete, maybe with sealant of some sort. You'd still have to seal all the pores and the cracks and the fissures.
You would still need to repoint the foundation above that, yes.
yeah.
But you're going to do something like that anyway.
Anyway,
I mean,
yeah.
his proposal did not come all the way up to the sill. His proposal said up a certain height, I forget what it was,
yeah.
with the concrete. And on the
I don't have that
inside,
here.
you'd still have to do some work. You definitely would still have to.
It's a lot of labor.
You're going to have to do that anyway on the upper
But
part.
yeah, well, we should definitely
Anyway,
ask.
just a
Yeah.
concept, just a
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah.
And
Well, this is a good time to be sharing all our thoughts,
Yeah.
not after it's done.
I think it's good to get all different, variations of what we could do
Yeah.
and just pick the one that seems to be the best
Well,
for this.
I think the ones that the engineers are recommending is not really the one that we're aiming toward, which is, I think, their first recommendation was to lift it up, and that's really
Well,
not
that's
what
the
we want
gold,
to do.
that's the gold standard, yeah.
Well, I wouldn't call it the gold standard. I would debate that,
I
because
think
from a
that's
historic
just-
preservation
From an
standpoint,
engineering point of view, that's what they are
It's a
recommending.
durabil- it's
But
a
I
it's
don't
like,
think
it's
that
like
that-
you'll have a whole new foundation, just like a new house.
But I don't think that that's the one that we were aiming towards. So we're not choosing the best from an engineering perspective. I think we're choosing the best from
well,
what we are willing
And
to.
that's what I mean.
Well,
That's for what we
Durability, I
want.
mean, maintenance is not something that
We really want to
we-
be
that-
dealing with.
right, and we don't have a good track record. Our track record is pretty poor. So we do want to prioritize durability, but
Well, somehow it seems to be easier to spend a bigger chunk of money up front than it is to get
yeah.
continual small amounts of money to do the maintenance. And I think that that's kind of always been the sticking point when you're dealing with kind of a public building.
Ellie, I didn't pick up from Dan, and probably not from Tom either very clearly, that they were recommending us lift the house.
Well,
I got the
he
impression that
he
they
ranked it
weren't.
1, 2, and 3, and number 1 was lifting the
Right,
house.
but I'm not sure they were steering us toward that.
Dan actually favors number 2, and
Yeah,
he told us that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think from an engineering perspective, number 1 is really the recommended. That's not necessarily the one that you should go with. It's just that from an
Well, the
engineering
yeah.
perspective, it's going to be the lowest maintenance. It's going to be
It'll
the
last
most
longer.
And the longevity was like
yeah,
twice as long.
and
as
the
other-
durability
yeah.
and the whole bit that. If you were looking to just say, I want to do something that I don't have to think about for the next 50 to 100 years, that's the one you'd go with.
So
But I
what we're
think-
doing is weighing against preservation versus engineering, and I think what we're going for is what.
Well,
you know,
they're not
preserving-
mutually exclusive, though.
No, they're not. But
Yeah.
but we're trying to preserve the character of the building.
You know,
And
the other
that,
thing
and
is
if
that,
number 1, if we did number 1 exactly as it's been proposed, we would have a modern foundation that you wouldn't see any stone around the bottom
Yeah.
of the building. And I think
That's
I
not
think we
really
were
where we
concerned
wanted
that
to go.
if there's a way that we can keep the appearance of that stonework, a stone foundation, we'd like to do that.
one of
And
the
you-
things is it's a rubbly foundation. I mean, it's not a fancy stone job.
It's pretty motley, is what it
And
is.
you want to see something interesting, on Central Street, before you get to 136 back this way, there's the foundation for the old Sawtell house. And that house deteriorated and fell into the cellar and died in my youth. When I was, say, about 18 or something like that, there was still a front wall standing, and that has gone since. But the roof had fallen in, and all of it. The house is long gone. But the foundation is magnificent. It's still sitting there.
It is.
And if you go in and look at it, I went there with a Sawtell descendant showing him where the house used to be, and I looked at it and said, holy mackerel, what a beautiful stone job. And it's not mortared, it's
Laid up dry?
it's laid up dry, but the stones have been shaped, and it just is beautiful. And it shows you what a nice quality job
Yes,
was.
yes.
And that house wasn't so terribly fancy or different from the one that we just talked about tonight in some ways. But boy, what a nice foundation it had.
Someone knew
And
what they were doing.
The Bullet House is nothing like that.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to come back and revisit it, I guess, with
Yeah.
our,
We'll send out the question,
Yeah.
see what happens.
Yeah.
yeah.
Are we ready to
Yeah.
adjourn?
Yeah,
I think
and
that-
you, did we, tentatively, maybe after Easter, we'll try to,
Whatever.
Or-
I have a couple of things, and I'm going away the 2nd of May for a couple of days. But I have a fairly clear
Pretty
schedule.
good, yeah.
I don't have physical therapy anymore. Yay! So I'm not tied down to
Oh,
that
good.
anymore.
But you're supposed to exercise on your own,
I have to
bet.
still exercise it, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't have to go to physical therapy anymore. He said, "Oh, it's doing really well." He said, "Oh, there's another 6 to 9 months of rehab."
Oh,
But he said, as long as you do the exercises at home, you don't have to go
you
to.
said, I can handle that.
I can handle that. Thank you. I have all the equipment, and now I just have the motivation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't have a whole lot that I need to worry about.
Well, if, I just need time to post it because there'll be more than 2 of us.
But you need to look at the weather before.
But I'll just
be
try to
looking
keep
ahead
track of the weather, and if you see an opening that you think will work,
Well, I
then
think
send
that
us all an email.
We could tentatively say Easter Monday,
Easter Monday.
which is that the
Yep, that's the 10th.
Weather permitting.
weather permitting. Yep.
And,
What do you want? 10 o'clock and.
yeah. I've collected some sheets to protect the mannequins.
They're all at the board house?
Actually, Janet has, and Barry brought the last one down,
Yay.
which is
Some
really...
of them were heavy.
Yes.
Well, the
yes.
one he brought down had an iron
Oh,
Base.
stand, yeah, so that one was heavy. But they're all consolidated,
into that front.
They're all in
Yeah.
the front room there.
Yeah.
and I would think if we used a car, I would think we could do it in one trip, but it might take 2.
I would think we could do it in one trip,
Trip.
and if we, I don't think it would fill the bed of the pickup, but it might.
How many mannequins are there?
Well, there's
Well,
parts too, there's
there's
heads
parts.
and wigs.
Some of them are
And
full,
hands.
and
Yeah.
some of them are partial, and some of them are cardboard, and they're so
Yeah.
mishmash.
But I really want to stress protecting each one, not in a deluxe fashion,
But
but
so that we're not
but if
dumping
you,
them all together.
yeah, if you have some old sheets, I have some,
I
and I
actually
have
think I
pillowcases.
still have some.
Mainly you
Some of those moving-
need those when you get them to
village,
Village Power, and we want to cover them.
well, whatever.
You can throw a sheet over 2, but you can't
They
necessarily.
just need to be taken care of in
Yeah.
a better
I think that you
strategy
should
than they were
put 'em in-
before,
into layers so that they're
because
not
they weren't
scratching
protected
each
that
other.
well before.
You know,
And
if
if
you-
we're going to move them, I think we should spend a little time
Yeah.
Being careful.
coddling them, yes.
If
I think I have some of those moving blankets.
Oh, that would be good. If you think that it's going to take more than one truck or one truck, one trip, Phil has a truck that I might be able to borrow and maybe get him to drive too,
Okay.
And his
I
it's
am
all
so sorry
padded
I
and
don't
everything.
miss it.
Yeah, well, they'd probably sail along better if we had 2. But,
Yeah, you get it done quicker.
yeah.
Well, the big thing is, if you put them all in close together and stack them together, they help to hold each other up too, when you're moving them. Or you could, I suppose you could work on laying them down, but that's another matter. And that's also doable. But then you got a different protection situation. If you got a nice day and you can quietly go down the street slowly,
When you get to Village Power, James is going to be around.
well,
Tim and I will be gone, but James will be around. Don't hesitate to move things, except for the roof of
oh yeah,
The Hearst
Don't touch
house.
that.
We
But
won't
don't-
move the Hearst
Don't
house, yeah.
hesitate to move things around, because we have those shelves with some paint on them and stuff. I mean, there's no rules about
mhm.
how you
Shifting something
yeah,
around.
Well, I think we
around.
put them together on an island in the middle, near our other stuff.
They need,
Yeah.
Perhaps with an island between,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
to,
should be up off the floor. I'll think about that.
well, it depends on what it is. Some things might want to be off
Off
the
the
floor.
floor, yeah.
And let's think about how we could do that. I mean, we've got our little square things, but that isn't going to make much help. Those aren't going to might be much help for those things.
I wonder
I don't
about
think they're
just
much problem.
putting them on pallets, is that?
No. Well,
Oh.
that's possible.
I don't know what we have for pallets right now, but if we have a stack of them somewhere, you could do that too.
Well, that floor is dry.
I mean, the floor, I was going to say, there's no leaking that I know of in that floor, so.
I don't like things on the floor. I think that's my problem.
You know, it's a nice tile, not a nice tile, but it's a tile floor.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, that's got a finished floor.
Yeah, it's a finished
That's
floor.
not the
Oh,
cement.
that's not-
And it's waterproof, I mean,
Not a
it's
big
tile,
problem.
so,
It's not a big problem.
Well, you could just even put a rug down.
you know.
I might be able to come up with a couple of rugs, you know, like mats or something. If
But you'll probably find that there may be a few things that you have to kind of shove out of the way of where you want to put your stuff, but that can have priority, you know. You can use the best spots you can find.
Okay, so we'll say tentatively,
I'll
The
wait
10th of
until
April.
And what time did you say? I like to have it on.
10
the-
o'clock.
10 o'clock, in case
At
you
the
guys
Bowen
want to
House.
look it up.
Weather permitting.
Weather permitting, got that right here, weather permitting. Well, one good thing about the mannequins is that I did finally learn how to spell mannequin. 2 N's and an E.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that's it. If you read my email earlier, we do have a promise from Highway to move our timbers and our lumber, both to Village Power and to they have a big roll-off. They have a, what do you call it? They have a dumpster.
Yeah.
And when that dumpster is empty, then they'll let me know and they'll come.
Oh, okay.
And I'll let you guys know.
as we can.
And it
And
could be
they'll take
next
it.
week. It could be
Yeah.
this
Okay.
week coming up.
Okay.
And where is the sink?
The sink we brought down from the bathroom upstairs.
Yeah,
you mean?
from the little bath-
Yeah, we did bring that one down. Tim was helping to haul stuff out for the metal drive. So the things that are left there that might be good for the metal drive. Oh, I didn't know if you wanted to have those nails go. There are the boxes of nails. There was a
Yeah, I
piece of
know.
like rolled.
Well, Barry
Metal.
seems to think that they'll be useful.
Okay, but then I
So,
wasn't sure
I
about
guess we could-
that hanger on rollers because it was not quite next to the things. But I sent that.
That's been sanctioned to go to the metal drive.
Oh, good.
so
All
that-
right. I guess I read your mind.
Yeah, I think I was trying to prop it up so it wouldn't fall down.
Yeah.
That
So
one-
we brought down almost everything. There's still a little bit of wood up there from the little bathroom upstairs, and except the toilet was still hooked together, the tank and the seat, and
It's so
Tim
heavy.
didn't have a wrench with
To
him.
take them apart.
So we'll take those apart, and then because it's too heavy to carry them both down, it's dangerous. But that's
Those
the
stairs
only
are
real
in
thing
here.
That
left
one
up there.
is old and it's heavy.
Yeah, and so it
Yeah, and those stairs are scary to
Right.
carry stuff. down.
Yes.
But that's and I don't know what the insulation was that they used up in the attic there, but it
It
comes
rains
down. It looks
down.
like popcorn almost.
Oh.
But that's if we want it to be neat, somebody will have to kind of gently sweep out that floor in the bathroom because that's pretty.
Gross.
But I don't know that it has to be done right away.
Yeah, just to have the
And
fixtures out is a miracle.
Sure, and
I've been
June, one
looking
thing
at
I was
those
going to mention
forever.
was that we were talking about the layers of wallpaper.
Yes.
I got 5 layers.
Did you really?
Yes.
Whoa.
Sure. I knew it
I
was
took
a
a
lot
little.
there.
I just took a little piece and floated it in water because you told me to use water. That was a good advice. And
Well, generally it's wheat paste and it's
Yeah.
still water soluble.
yeah,
5 layers?
yeah, 5 layers of wallpaper.
Can you
Hey,
actually
that's
see
from
the
That's from the
patterns?
northeast bedroom. The other room, and the southeast bedroom is very different, and somebody painted over the paper, so it's very hard to figure out what else is there.
Can you see the patterns? Are they distinguishable?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's
and I
neat.
only did a little one because I figured the bigger piece, if we wanted to actually have a sample somewhere, you'd want a bigger one, and I didn't want to mess with
Yeah.
the bigger ones that were left over.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And then I think the other room, the ballroom, or whatever you want to call it, I think I discerned maybe 3 layers,
3.
but I didn't. I couldn't find a good place to take some off, so I just waited.
The ballroom has multiple layers on the surface.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's wallboard that Russell Hawkins put in as an insulator.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's some more wallpaper on the plaster behind it.
Oh, all right. All right.
I'll show you a spot when we open it up.
Yeah, but I was just amazed at how easy it was to peel it off once I had
Yeah.
it floating in the water for a
In the
while.
in the parlor downstairs, we decided to leave that wallboard there, and we cleaned it up and we papered over it.
And that paper.
But
is
upstairs,
still
I'd
good.
really like to take it off. When we do that room, I'd like to restore that better and have it back to the plaster. And we're going to insulate anyway in the wall, so.
You're
I'd
talking about
really
the ballroom now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
like to go back to the plaster there.
Yeah.
But that's another,
5 layers, I cannot believe it. It's gonna be
oh,
like
I'm
that.
not surprised at all.
Well,
Really?
you know,
Well,
the thing
if you
is-
see how heavy that stuff was coming off of that room, that back
Yes.
bedroom.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like it was stiff. It had so, yeah, because of the paste and all that stuff.
right.
But I didn't think it would be that easy.
It'll stand up by itself, but it won't stay on the wall.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was fun. And Barry,
Probably using it as insulation.
I have a
Probably,
question.
yeah.
I don't want to get off on it at any great length, but what is left up in the upper attic?
There's still a little bit more of the woodwork stuff out of Cora Mays that wasn't well tied together,
Okay.
and I got to go up and do that. And there's most of the rest of it we got out of.
Okay. I was trying to see. I was,
Most everything
you know,
else.
it's
I
so
think we
dark
got
up
most
there. I
everything.
couldn't
Oh,
tell.
there's 2 sections of wainscot from Cora Mays that I'm going to have to disassemble a bit
Mm-hmm.
in order to get them out of there. I know how to get them out because we got the others out,
Mm-hmm.
but some of these have still got moldings on. I've got to take that off to get them through the place we can get them out through. When we put them in there, we put them in through the little window, but we've put a storm window on that since that makes the opening smaller. Dick and I got them in there when we had a bigger opening, but we can't, the opening isn't as big anymore. So we had to go around the corner and down into the back bedroom and out a window down there, which the highway guys pulled off.
Yeah.
But I know how we did it, so I know how it can be done. But we've still
We
got 2
tightened
chunks of
up.
that would not fit through that the way they are now.
Yeah. We tidied up the other attic so that
Yeah.
it looked, you know, the boards are lying nicely, and we took out,
Cleaned it out and,
The
and,
stuff that
and-
was in
and
it.
got some of the stuff out of there and have the materials there that
Yeah.
we were supposed to do that floor with only.
yeah. And nobody fell through doing it. That was good.
No. Well, there's nothing, fortunately, it has a decent floor now, much better than
Yeah.
it once did.
Okay, so if the weather continues to look good for Easter Monday, I'll post
Post the meeting.
a meeting for 10 o'clock. And,
It's gonna be 3 or 4 days from now before you really know.
yeah, I'll just wait till the bitter end so that we don't have to
But you have to
cancel
have
it.
48 hours?
Yeah,
Yeah, you
Yeah.
gotta
And it has
post
to-
it by
I would have to post it by Thursday.
Thursday morning early.
I was going to say, we should know by Wednesday night.
It'd be good to post it about Wednesday or Wednesday night, yeah.
Okay. And I guess, it's fine with me if Lucy wants to make a planter.
Oh, absolutely,
Or flowers or whatever.
absolutely. The Historical Society has done that some years. Has put a pot or something.
Mm-hmm. Well, there is a
couple of
pot
pots of
there
stuff
that's
out
on
there.
its,
There's a black one there, I saw
yeah,
that,
Yeah.
and it's in good shape and it's plastic. I mean, it's nothing special, but
Yeah.
if you wanted to use it, you could, I don't see any problem.
No problem, no problem.
I don't know what it had in it before.
I don't know.
We have crocuses and those little grape hyacinths and something else in the backyard now. I don't know if you noticed.
This is the time when it starts to burst.
Yeah. And,
Used to have wonderful crocuses out there, most of them are gone now.
yeah, well,
The rodents like them.
yeah.
I planted Siberian squill because I loved that up at the old Marble House that I lived at. Had that carpet of Siberian squill, and I planted 51.
One
The, the
survivor.
little squirrels and the chipmunks.
They
They
like
thought
it,
you were
yeah.
feeding them.
No, they thought it was lovely.
They thought you were.
Motion
feeding
to
them, yeah.
adjourn.
Yes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.